This video, presented by Truman Medical Center's IT Education Group, will demonstrate how to order an interdisciplinary plan of care, referred to as IPOCs, or plan of care, or a care plan. So to order a plan of care, first thing we do is, in our menu, we go to Power Orders. And I'm going to go ahead and collapse the menu by clicking on this Auto Hide. And we click on Add in order to add our plan of care. And when that happens, we'll get a new screen will pop up that will have different folders. And we're going to go ahead and click on the Plan of Care folder. Now the Plan of Care folders will be broken down into different areas or disciplines. And for this example, I'm going to use the Acute Care Plan folders. So when I click on it, we have all of our plans of care listed here. And notice how they are in black. But when you hover over them, they turn into an underlined blue. Now, when you want to select a plan of care, only single click one time on the plan of care. And when you do that, like I'll select communication, when I click on it, notice how it turns bold and blue. So that tells you that your plan of care has been selected. If you were to click on it a second time because you didn't get a pop-up box or some kind of screen saying that it's been added, you won't get that. The only way that you know that that care plan has been added is when it turns blue and bold. So only click on it once. Let's go ahead and add a couple more plans of care. Let's add knowledge and nutrition and pain as well. So when I select my plans of care, they turn blue and bold, and I click on Done. I can now see in my view area on the left-hand side that my 4 care plans have been added. Now they're still pending because I still need to do some more work on them. Now, if you added a plan of care by accident, and that may happen from time to time, you can always right-click on the plan of care and you can do a remove option. And what that will say to you is that I added this care plan by accident. It won't be counted against you at all. It will simply remove it from your screen. Okay. So I have my 4 care plans here, and now I need to go through and I need to add items in here. And the first one that I come to is pain. Now pain is actually a little bit of a different care plan because by default everything is pre-selected for you in your outcomes and interventions. You can see how all the check marks are in here. Now there will be one constant that will happen throughout all of your care plans, which is the first 3 items that will say reviewed, prioritize, and focus. Those will always be selected. And it's a grayed out checkmark box, which tells you that you cannot remove them. Okay. Now again, pain is a little bit of an unusual care plan to talk about because everything is selected by default, including this one down here at the bottom that says PT, which is physical therapy. Now, because we are not physical therapists, we do not need to add anything that does not fall within our specific discipline. So do I need to have this physical therapy intervention here? And the answer is no, I don't need to have that. If the physical therapists do want to add their own interventions into the care plan, then they will add them themselves. But as regular nurses, we do not need to add those in. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that check mark. And come on down here to nutrition. And again, I'm going to select my outcomes and interventions by putting check marks into them. Notice again how my reviewed, prioritize, and focus are all pre-selected. So I do not need to do anything. But I do need to put check marks next to what I do want to add for my outcomes and interventions. So let's add a few in here. Now notice here in nutrition as well that I have areas that are not within my discipline. So do I need to add those in? No, I do not. So coming down here to knowledge. And again, add what I want to in here. And finally, communication as well. So once I've added my outcomes and my interventions for the plans of care that I have selected, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on sign. Tells me I need to refresh, so I hit my refresh button. And now I can see how my care plans have been initiated. Okay. Now, once again, if you added a care plan by accident, you can always right-click on it. And here we have discontinue and void. And now that right-click changed because I have already signed off on them. So the remove option was I added that one by accident. I didn't document anything on it. I just want to get rid of it. But after you signed off on it, you can choose discontinue or void if you want to. Now, the difference between the two is with discontinue, what you're saying is that this care plan is no longer necessary, and I don't want to have it as part of my documentation. And we'll cover that in another video. And the void option. And the void is what you would probably use in this scenario, meaning that I added a care plan by accident, I added some outcomes and interventions, but I really don't need this care plan now, so I can void it out. There also may be some outcomes or interventions that you forgot to add to your plans of care. So if I come up here to in communication, for example, let's say that I forgot to add an intervention or two. This icon here, which is the View Excluded Components icon, this is actually a toggle that you can turn the checkmark boxes to add on or off. See if I click it again, the checkmark boxes go away, and the interventions that were not added go away. But if I click on it again, they come back. So again, this View Excluded Components icon will allow you to go into an already created plan of care, an already signed plans of care with selected outcomes and interventions that will allow you to add them after they've been signed. Okay, so go ahead and add an intervention in there, and I click on Sign, refresh. And again, this is a toggle, so I want to turn this on and off if I need to. So I hit the light bulb again, it goes away, we can see that my extra intervention has been added. There may be an outcome or intervention from a different plan of care that you wish to add to one of the plans of care which you have selected. And in that case, you can go to the Add Phase. Once you have your plan of care selected, you go to Add Phase, and you can select the Add Outcome or Intervention. And you search for whatever the outcome or intervention is. So let's say blood pressure. Let me search for it. And I can select whatever my outcome or intervention is. I click on OK. It gets added. I click on Sign. I hit refresh. And I can see that that outcome is now added in. There may be times also which you may have added an outcome or intervention by accident that you do not need anymore. So if that happens, you can always right-click on that outcome or intervention, and you can do a modify, discontinue, or void out. Modify means you want to make a change to it. Discontinue means that this part is no longer necessary. And void is I added this one by accident. So once you void it, you get the strike through, you sign it, hit refresh, and you can see that it's still here present, but it says voided out. Okay. So once you have added your plans of care, once you have added your outcomes and interventions, and then signed it, if you needed to add any excluded components, or you wanted to add a phase from a different care plan, or you needed to remove an outcome or intervention, then it's time to go ahead and document. And you can document on your plans of care by clicking on the Document and Plan tab. Let that load in. Now you will receive a notification through the Care Compass actions as a reminder that it's time to do your documentation on your plans of care at 0400 and 1600 depending on which shift you are working. So when it comes time to document your plans of care, there's two ways which you can do it. There's the manual way, which is if you were to single click on the plan of care, you'll have to answer some questions up here at the top, which will be yes or no, or met or not met. And then down here, you'll also have to enter the date and time for it. So did you review this or update this plan of care? Yes, I did. And notice how date and time become a required field. So T for today and N for now, and then it's satisfied. Now, when it comes time to prioritize, now remember, I added 4 plans of care onto my patient, but I only need to prioritize 3 of them. So what happens with that 4th plan of care? Do I need to prioritize anything after I prioritize care plans 1, 2, and 3? And the answer is no. You do not need to prioritize anything beyond 3 care plans. And who decides what care plans should be prioritized? Well, that's up to you, the shift nurse. This is your patient. These are your plans of care. These are things that you're going to be documenting on, and who decides what the priorities are? You do. So I have my care plans of communication and knowledge, and I have nutrition and pain as well. So where does communication fall for me as a 1, 2, 3, or nothing? Well, I'm going to make my communication a 2. And T for today and N for now. And this is an actual. And again, T for today and N for now. Now, if I'm going through my care plans and I have to sit here and hit T for today and N for now on every single one of these boxes, it's going to take me a long time to go and do that. So there is a little bit of an easier way which will allow you to kind of work your documentation a little bit faster. That's by clicking on these boxes, the check mark with the arrow to the right or just the arrow to the right, and they do 2 different things. If I were to click on the check mark with the arrow to the right, what will happen is that I will always answer in the affirmative of whatever the statement is, and the date and time will automatically be filled in for me. Okay? So let's see this again. If I click on the check mark with the arrow to the right, I enter in the affirmative, and the date and time are placed in there automatically. Now, with the arrow to the right, if I click on that, I will get the date and time filled in, but I still have to answer whatever the question is up there. So was it done or not done? So are the eyeglasses within reach? Okay, let's say that it was not met because the patient's glasses are at home. And if an outcome or an intervention were not met during your shift, this does not have a reflection on your ability as a nurse or you being able to accomplish everything during your shifts. If the outcome or intervention was simply not met, it was simply not met. And there's no wrong thing about that. There's nothing to be held against you for that. But if there is an outcome or intervention that is not met, you should put in down here in the outcome note as to why that outcome or intervention was not met. So I can say that patient glasses are at home. Or will bring them tomorrow morning. So that will simply give the next shift nurse information to why it was not met so that they can work on having that outcome or intervention met. Assist with eyeglasses, well, no, that was not met because the glasses aren't here. So I'm going to click on the check mark with the arrow to the right. It was done. Date and time filled in automatically. Here you go. Now, for my knowledge care plan, again, I have the arrow to the right. So when I click on that, it puts in the date and time automatically, but I need to say yes or no on this. So did I review this? Yes, I did. Prioritize. Now this is knowledge, and I've already prioritized one of the care plans as a number 2. So this leaves 1, 3, or nothing. So for me, I'm going to make knowledge a 3 and make this as an actual. So I'm going to go ahead and document through my knowledge, clicking on the check mark with the arrow to the right. Again, answers in the affirmative, automatically puts in the dates and time. And as I'm reading these plans of care, I'm saying if it was done or met. Click on the check mark with the arrow to the right. So here comes nutrition. And again, did I review this? Yes. And here comes the time to prioritize. Now, I've already added a 2 and a 3. So I only have prioritized 1 left for me, or none at all. And the only care plans I have left is nutrition and pain. So for me, pain will be the first priority. And nutrition, that's not going to be a priority for me that I need to mark on here. So I leave 1, 2, and 3 blank. I simply put in the date and time, and that will acknowledge the fact that I had clicked on that box to see it. Say this is actual, and again, just go through everything. Vitamins and supplements, snack offered. No, the patient did not have any snacks because patient not request snacks. Now you could, if you want to, put in a pre-made reason by clicking on the drop-down arrow, and there's some autofill reasons if you want to. There's always the free text box as well. And finally, I have my pain. So yes, I reviewed. Priority 1. The pain is actual. I'm going to say that the patient still is complaining of pain in their lower leg. Okay, so we go through and we document everything. And the patient did not require or request warm packs. So once I've gone through and documented on my care plans, I go ahead and sign off. I can see that I have indicators that tell me if plans of care were met or not met. Green check mark meaning that things were met. Here are some red X's saying that things were not met. And that is documentation or adding plans of care, doing some modification to your care plans, and documenting on your care plans as the admitting nurse. If you have any questions, feel free to contact IT Education.